XML Selector, single point of entry for all saves. Send entire object or any part thereof to the XML Selector. XML object is interrogated and different table levels sent to secondary sprocs. Handles all inserts, updates, deletes in sub-second time. Returns the persisted version of the object and schema. Foreign keys. Foreign keys are what ADOM uses to define the XML object structure. ADOM allows you to ignore foreign keys if you don't want to include certain tables in the structure. The XML Selector sproc is really the powerhouse behind the ADOM framework because it interrogates the incoming XML object structure and sends the different node levels to their appropriate insert, update, and delete secondary sprocs. Then once everything has been updated, it reselects the latest version of the data as persisted in the database and returns it to the calling process. Then the UI can be rebound to the updated object structure to reflect the latest info for the entire object in the UI. This cuts down on potential for concurrency issues the user is working with the data. Here we will modify the person name and set the modify type ID to 2. There are 4 potential values for modify type ID. 0 means no change, 1 means insert, 2 means update, 3 means delete. As you can see, the person object is rather large with multiple addresses and email addresses. Here we will modify the email address to a value of test@email.com. Then we will set the modify type ID equal to the number 2, which is update. As you can see, when we execute the XML selector, it performs the updates and returns the persisted version of the data instantly. We can open up the returned XML object and see the changes in the name, scroll down and find the email address and see that it too has been updated as well. We can then copy the updated XML object structure and paste it into the XML Selector execute window and perform even more changes on the data. In this example, we will delete all address records that are not in the state of Alabama. This will leave this particular person with only one address record. Again, the way that you delete a record is to set the modify type ID for that record to the value of 3 for delete. Again, you can see that the XML selector performed all the deletes and then reselected the persisted object for return instantly. As you can see, there is now only one address in this person record. Now I will show you an example of an insert for a new email address. I can simply copy the existing email address and paste it back into the structure. Then I simply change the modify type ID to a value of 1 for insert, set the email ID value to 0, and then modify the email address slightly. Again, the execute happens instantly in sub-second time, and the updated object is returned to the calling process. Upon examination of the resulting data object, we can see that the new email address has been added and has an email ID value of 100,003. We will again paste the results into our selector execute statement and delete the email address which we just added by simply changing the modify type ID to 3. The return happens instantly and we can see the email is now gone. Now we will go back into the ID factory configuration tool and I will show you how foreign keys can be managed to modify the object structure. If you wish to remove a given table from the object structure, you can simply find the foreign key for that object and set the ignore foreign key value to true. Since Atom constructs the object based on foreign key relationships, ignoring a foreign key will inherently remove that section of the object from the total XML. Before we re-atomize this change, I want to open back up that person object and show you the image section within the XML that I'm referring to. As you can see, there's a node collection called image collection, and it contains data about an image. So now we'll switch back over to ID Factory, re-atomize, which will update the structure based on the changes we just made. Now I will execute the attribute select again just to show you the overall structure, and you will see that the image section has been removed. Then I will execute the generic person search again, and you will see, surely enough, there is no image collection node in the object structure anymore.